Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I'm Pat Brock, the Public Information Officer for Lawrence County Schools, and we've got a special show for you today. We're here to highlight our transportation department, our bus drivers, and we've got a lot of great ones here with us here, and they're going to share with you a little bit about themselves, their time as a bus driver, what that means to them, what really gets them going every morning when they get on that bus, and what's really important. And you know, last week we had bus driver appreciation. And that was a time where each individual school and students were able to let our bus drivers know just how special they truly are. And of course, you know, our transportation director is Mr. Greg Pauldo, so you'll be able to see him in just a moment. But we're going to start off with Mr. Robert James Nelson. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Pat. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Now, Robert, as everyone may or may not know, this is my sister's husband. Y'all been married for how long?
46 years.
Lord have mercy. Robert, this is a chance for you to really kind of share about yourself and your family first, and let's talk about your journey working in the education field in transportation.
Okay, first of all, I started working with Lawrence County School System. I guess it was back in the early 80s when Rudy Hampton and Connie, she was one of the people that I got to know from Easter Seals, and that's where I got my CDL license through Easter Seals. And we got to talking, and we got to be good friends, and her husband needed a bus driver to drive them to the games. And that's where I got started back in the early 80s, driving for Rudy Hampton and Ed Ford. I'm sure you all know about Ed Ford, but all of us got to be real good friends, and like I said, I got started through those two guys.
And then, of course, through the years, you transitioned Dublin City Schools for many years.
Yes.
You retired from there?
I retired from Dublin City Schools after 27 years. And at the end of the school year, Mr. Pauldo was needing a driver for the remainder of the school year. And I got out of school at Dublin City School, I think about 7 or 8 days before before he called me and asked me about driving for him the rest of that year. And so I drove for him for the rest of that week and 2 days, I think it was. And I realized I was going to retire and just stay home, but I fell in love with those children again.
Yeah.
But I had been driving for children with special needs for 27 years at Dublin City. That was after I left Lawrence County. And what makes my job so special is to see those kids every morning, get on the bus. Most of the time, I get to know my children name by name, and I speak to them name by name as they get on the bus every morning. But when I got to the county, you know, it was 60-something kids. In Dublin City, I had about 14. It was sort of hard to get to know all of them name by name.
Yeah.
But in a couple of weeks, I had gotten them all name by name.
Name by name. And you know, when you talk about that and when you really think about it, that's truly special. I mean, I have adult friends that told me, oh, Mr. Robert was my bus driver. I said, say what? And you know, I've heard that a lot, and I've seen you when you would see some of your students that used to ride your bus, and you know, they would be adults, but you still acting like their bus driver.
Yeah, yeah. Just about everywhere I go, I usually meet someone that, oh, you used to be my bus driver.
Yeah.
And most of the time they ask me, do you remember me? And a lot of times I don't. But yes, it's been a very special thing just to drive in the school bus. Yeah.
And you know, myself, I can remember bus drivers that I had that were extra special. You know, as a kid, I was at Northwest Lawrence Elementary, and Miss Haskins was our bus driver. And we lived on a dirt road. I'm number 13 or 14, and I remember that bus. We didn't have cell phones back then. And anytime that bus went in that ditch, I mean, I've never seen a woman handle a vehicle like that, as well as children. And so I'll never forget Miss Haskins. And I remember we used to also run out of the house one at a time, not even ready. And she would blow that horn. and wait for us. And I'll never forget how special she treated us. And Handyman, you remember Handyman?
Yes, I remember
At
Handyman.
Dublin City?
Yes,
I will
Handy.
never forget him as well. And so when kids see you all, you bus drivers, that is really nostalgic for them, and it really reminds them that even back then they were being taken care of.
Yes. At the beginning of Christmas holidays, I usually give my children something like a piece of candy or something. Cause you always remember that, cause you know I used to have it home whenever
Yep.
you was home, and I gave them a piece of candy, and some of them said that they hadn't been a bus driver yet. Gave them a piece of candy since they've been riding the bus, and a lot of those kids was high school kids, and I'm like, you know, I do this all the time. You know,
Yeah.
give them little special things and say little special things to them, and really, I really have appreciated driving for Lawrence County School System and also Dublin City School System. They have been good to me,
Yeah.
and I owe them a lot. I really do.
And you know, and when you talk about both systems that you work for, that's our community. That's the community that we live in. These are kids that we see every day. And so when you know that you have touched the lives of so many young people, I bet that's so satisfying for you.
It's so satisfying to see them and to see some of them adults and got children. And I'm driving for a lot of them now that children's take like Mr. Pauldo when he was a little boy. And I think it was middle school when I got to know him. And I drove him to school.
You were Mr. Pauldo's school bus driver.
Yes.
I love that. So there it is. How was he?
Well, he was a good kid. He helped me out a lot. He really did. He really did. He helps me out a lot. And he used, after he graduated from school, you know, I'm just going to tell a whole lot about it. He just still hung around the school just like it. That was after he had graduated.
Yeah.
Hung around Calvin, McLeod, and myself. And yeah, I got to know Greg when he was like I said,
Wow.
middle school kid.
And look how special that is, you know, and people, we want you all to know that I think part of this show is for you to actually talk, hear the bus drivers speak from their own words about what it means to them to make sure that they take care of your kids, because they see them first thing in the morning and they see them the last day when they get off that school bus. And so your job is so significant, Robert.
Yes.
So if you calculated all of your years of driving a school bus in the transportation department, how many years would that be?
It'll be about 38 years.
38 years.
Yes, 38 years.
If you could do anything differently, what would you do?
Drive a school bus.
Wow.
I love it just that much. I really
Wow.
do.
And of course, you know, your wife says you're her #1 school bus driver.
Yeah.
Tell us about your family. Share with us.
Well, I was married to my wife for 45 years, and we got 2 girls, and we adopted 2 other girls, and and we got 4 grandchildren. We got 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters, and that makes up my family, I guess.
That's your family. You've got a special family. And so what kind of advice would you want to give to some of the younger bus drivers? Because you've got some of them that are starting out. And I think that the bus drivers who've been doing this for a while, that are more seasoned, actually you can see things that younger, not just age, but as far as like in time driving, don't necessarily see. So what advice would you like to give to some of those bus drivers?
I would like to give the advice of treat them like you want to be treated. And don't do anything to them that you wouldn't want someone to do to you. And you love them just like you do your own children. That's where I treat mine, just like they're my own children. And
What do you want to say to those kids?
I love them. I really do love those kids.
And to the parents, because the parents really trust the bus drivers to do your job effectively.
And parents, when they get on my bus, you can be assured that I'm going to take care of them just like they're my own special little children.
Very good. Thank you so much, Robert. It's a pleasure sitting here chatting with you and just seeing how you beam with excitement when you talk about what you love doing the most.
Thank you, Miss Pat.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Nelson. All right, we've got our transportation director with us here, Greg Pauldo. Hey, Greg.
How you doing, Miss Pat?
Good. How are you doing?
All right, all right.
Now, Greg, you and I, you know, we just did a ride along.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hadn't, you know, I did one several years ago on the bus on the east side. And it's like riding that bus, it was bringing back so many memories for me. And it's like, this has been a part of your life since the early 80s.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to us a little bit about you, your family, and your journey.
Well, I graduated from high school in 1987, and I got challenged to move a school bus when I was in high school. And that sort of put me where I am today. I've been messing with driving school buses on and off ever since 1988. I left the paper mill in 2011. I was working there full time on my off days. I would drive the bus whenever I was off or on night shift. But I got a calling from the Lord because really that wasn't something I wanted to do was shift work. So Lawrence County Schools, they offered me a position, and I took that position. And I, ever since then, I've been happy, get a chance to sleep in my bed at night. And that was great, you know, being able to be off on the weekends and the holidays.
But you know, Greg, you and I were talking the other day. You get up, you get to work at what, 5:30 in the morning?
Yes, I get to work at 5:30, but that's not my schedule. My schedule is 8 to 4:30. I get to work at 5:30 because I want to be there for the drivers. I made a commitment. I want to be there for you, and that's why I get to work so early.
Wow. And you know, I've heard so many of the bus drivers talk about not just your commitment, but your dedication and how well you treat them and you look after them.
Well, in order for my job to be successful, I got to be there for them. And that's my goal. Whatever I could do for a driver to help them, I'm going to be there to help them.
And you know, each year you normally have a bus driver appreciation.
Yes.
Like at the country club or somewhere, and we couldn't have it this year due to COVID. But I remember when I was there last year, just seeing, I mean, everybody was so happy. And you all had so many gifts. I'm like, is this Christmas or what? But you said, you know what? I'm going to do right by them. When I do right by them, they'll do right by me.
That's correct.
And you've been leading that way for years and years and years.
That's correct.
And during the time, so before we had the, you know, the schools, before they abruptly closed due to COVID, we had a lot of issues with rain.
Right.
And you know, road closures and school closing. Summarize that, Greg, how that was.
Well, Miss Pat, I'm going to tell you, it was rough, but it was a great experience. I was the one that was getting out there, traveling the road, making sure that our buses was able to travel those roads in a safe manner. Matter of fact, me and you and the guy from TV Channel 13, we went out, rode the roads, and the public work department, we worked hand in hand.
Right.
Good working relationship. They kept me up to date on anything, or if anything that we seen, we stayed in touch with each other, and we made this thing work together for all.
It was amazing to see your work ethic and so many people coming together, and for us having to be able to tell that story to get the people out in the community to understand why these buses can't travel these roads, you know, because, you know, a lot of rural areas that you may
Yes.
not necessarily have in, you know, with the city, but going, how many miles every day?
We run 4,500 square miles a day.
4,500 square miles. When you told me that, I could not believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
And statistically, you got 77 bus drivers.
That's correct.
And you have so many different routes.
Right. Well, matter of fact, we have down on the south end of the county, we got 28 buses down there. On the east side, we got 26. On the north end of the county, we got 23.
How do you keep all of those moving pieces moving?
Well, it just comes together. Once you do it for a while, all of it fall in place, and you can just keep up with it.
And, you know, that's why we're highlighting our transportation department, because we have an excellent transportation department, and it takes everybody working together. I always say for the greater good, the safety of our children, and that's part of that educational piece that transportation plays in our school systems.
Yes, ma'am. And not only, you know, I don't take the glory. give it to God. And he put me here because he knew I could do the job.
Yeah.
And ever since it came in, everything been coming together like clockwork.
Oh, wow.
And I tell the administrators all the time, don't give me the glory, give it to the peoples out there.
Yeah.
I'm just coming in, I'm like one of the shepherds. We are all working this thing together.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna give it to me, give it to everybody.
Right. And this is our way of giving it to everybody.
Right.
What do you love most about your job, Mr. Pauldo?
Well, what I love most about my job is being able to get up in the morning time and being able to help someone. And right now, you know, I always tell the drivers, we got the COVID situation going on, but we can beat this thing. We can beat it.
Yeah.
What we got to do, we got to love one another. And I preach to them sometime on the radio. You know, when you get on this bus, you need to tell your kids, good morning, love you, have a great day. And so that's what a lot of drivers are doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the relationship between the drivers and kids are coming together and they having a better bus ride and a quieter bus ride and being able to understand the kid and deal with the kid because of that.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's what it's all about, you know. And not saying that every day is a good day, because you all have challenges, things that you have to be able to handle and make very key decisions about when it comes to transportation. And I know your phone rings off the hook all the time.
Yes, ma'am, but hey, my phone never turned off. Sleep with it on. I mean, I at night, I turn it on vibrate, but still, my phone is on 24/7. So if anybody got any concerns or any complaints about bus drivers, feel free to give me a call. You know, like they say, I stand up for the drivers, but I also stand up for what's right.
There it is. And that's what makes you a great leader.
Right.
What do you want to say to your bus drivers?
Bus drivers, I want to say I love you. Keep doing what you're doing, and we're gonna beat this thing. We all gonna work together, and we're gonna keep it moving. Thank you.
All right. And for those students?
Students, I like to say, since I've been doing this job, we all have had good times. So I understand. My thing I tell drivers, treat the child like you always want to be treated when you was riding the bus, and everything will be all right.
And to those parents out there?
Parents, feel free to call me. I can assure you, when you put your child on a Lawrence County school bus, that your kid is in the safest hands.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Pauldo, for all that you do for Lawrence County Schools.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Transportation Director himself, Greg Pauldo.
When it's time to buy or sell your home, it's time to put the winning team of Century 21 to work for you, including Penny Helton, Beverly Forbes, Brian Howell, Charlene Lamb, David Deeves, Dalton Lamb, Jay Brantley, Jennifer Brantley, Jim Jarrett, Raina Dubberly, Ruth Watson, Sarah Kobe, Charlene Brantley, Yvonne Robertson, and broker George Durden. Put the winning team to work for you. Century 21, Durden Cornegay. And you're sure to score every time. For more information, log on to c21dublin.com. Call 272-1535 or come see us at 1700 Veterans Boulevard in Dublin. Century 21 Durden Cornegay, the #1 realty company in Dublin and Lawrence County.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a retiree with us here, Brother Grady Mimbs. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, Miss Pat. Good to be here today.
Good to have you here. Well, first off, congratulations on your retirement, but yet you're still here. You're still doing great things.
Thanks.
Share with us about you and tell us about your family, and let's talk about your journey, Mr. Mimbs.
Okay. The retirement was a big part of our life. It was not a chosen thing. We were driving in Wrench going home to get the bus to drive the route that afternoon, and somebody ran in the back of my pickup, messed up my right eye through a concussion, so I could not drive a school bus anymore.
Right.
But the Lord gave me the opportunity to go in and do some substitution in the high school. And while I was driving the bus, a great opportunity came to me, because one morning I was going to pick up a new child, so I got there a little bit early. So I stopped side the road to wait on time to pick up the child. And I just picked up the bus radio microphone, and I said to all the bus drivers, "This is the day that the Lord hath made." And Fred Bullard, a minister who was a East Lawrence bus driver at that time, he's retired now, he came back on and responded. So that started that morning, and each morning then, while I was driving the bus, we would have a devotion on there by the grace of God. And after I had to retire, then that became a different thing. It was really emotional for me when I knew I was going to have to retire, because I was not going to get to do the devotion with all these great bus drivers and administrators and so forth. But the Lord opened that up, and the then administrator and superintendent called me and said, "If we bring you a radio to your house, will you continue to do that?" So the Lord provided, and I still am able to do that, going on for 7.5 years now. Each morning, with 77 bus drivers and the administrators and the teachers and some of the students, we get to share what God has done to us by particular stories that we have read down through the years. So that's a great thing for us. I appreciate it so very much.
Look at that ram in the bush he had for you. He said, "I know that Brother Grady's going to want to still be able to let those wheels on his bus turn."
Amen.
And so for the past 7.5 years, you've been doing something that has been ingrained with you. And why is it so necessary for those bus drivers to have that devotion?
The bus drivers are challenged each day, as Mr. Pauldo said, and Mr. Robert this morning also, that they're challenged to be positive with the kids. They're challenged to show them love, because that may be the first smiling face that they see that morning, some of those children. So by them being challenged, then I am challenged to give them something each morning that will try to encourage them, to try to help them. Not only do we give the devotion, but we also have a prayer line for our people. So people actually call my home, they call my cell phone, and they say, "We're going for surgery tomorrow, would you pray for us?" And so we've got a multitude of Christian bus drivers who will pray every day for bus drivers and for so forth, and for Mr. Pauldo, and so that's such a blessing to us. It really is.
It truly is, and when I think back in retrospect, when I was speaking with Greg, it reminded me of you all have lost bus drivers. Ones that were here with us this last year are not with us this year. And so, having that firm foundation is something that I'm sure it keeps them going as well.
It does. I was thinking, coming over this morning, one of the ladies that you will interview this afternoon or sometime later, Miss Yvonne Lamp. Several years ago, her husband was a bus driver, and then he started running the fuel truck. And Donnie was such a pleasant person. He was such an inspiration to us.
Right.
And so I'm thankful to have gotten to know him and other bus drivers who have passed on. Many of our bus drivers have lost their mate in the last 7 years. So we've been able to share with them, pray with them, love them, and encourage them in the days.
Look at that family connection you all have. The way you're able to communicate with one another, and the way you're able to be there for one another in a time of need.
It is like a family. My natural family, I was the last of 9 children. My family lived in Mentor, Georgia when I was born. My wife and I were both born in the old Coleman Hospital, not Claxton. We were before that, the old Coleman Hospital. And we've been married 54 years, and I understand what family is about. And our bus drivers, administrators, they're really like a family. We have been blessed so much in the county system with Christian administrators, with Christian teachers, with people that are our superintendents down through the years. We have just been blessed in this county to give us the opportunity to be a family one together. When we get together at these meetings, appreciation times, it's just like a family. And sometimes we get together at a funeral.
Right.
And that's a time when we can say, "Hey, I love you," and we know we do.
Look at that.
Yes.
And those kind of relationships, they truly matter. They help keep you going. They help encourage you to keep going. For those who have lost their mates and the fact that you've lost bus drivers, and for you and your foundation, Brother Mimbs, how does it feel for you to be able to do what you do every day?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. As I said a while ago, when the word came that my eye was so bad that I would not be able to drive Lawrence County School Bus anymore, I mean, I was emotional about it.
Right.
But then, when they said, "You can continue to do this,"
Look at that.
I was so so blessed to because it's just like, it was like I would have lost
Right.
a major part of my family, but I still just every day. And sometimes new bus drivers will come in and they will hear us as we talk on the radio each morning, and it may be 2 years before I meet that person. And they'll say, "You're the guy that does that. You're the guy
Right.
that does that." And I said, "Yes." So we've been really blessed.
And when I was told that you were doing devotions every morning, and after you had retired, I said, wow, look at that servanthood in action. And so I'm grateful. I think that we're grateful as a district that you're still allowing your light to shine before man, that they may see your good works.
Well, it's just such, just such an opportunity. Not only Scripture, but life instances that's come about. For instance, a day not too long ago, we used the story of Ty Cobb. And Ty Cobb was a man who was real famous for his baseball playing. He led the hitting in the American League for better than 12 years. But on his deathbed is when he trusted the Lord Jesus to save him. So I can say to the people, don't give up.
Don't give
Because
up.
the good times are yet to come.
That's what I was going to ask you what to say. Thank you so much, and you're still living. I mean, your ladder is still greater. You still have more to come for you.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Miss Pat. God bless you.
God bless you. Grady Mimbs, everyone. We've got Mr. William Henderson with us. Hi, Mr. Henderson.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Now, we want to know about your journey, because your journey didn't start off right into the transportation department.
No,
Talk
it
to us
didn't.
about your family first.
All right. My name is William Henderson. I'm married to Shirley Henderson. We've been married 51 years. We dated. We were high school sweetheart ever since 8th grade.
Oh, my goodness.
We have 3 kids. We have 3 boys. We have 10 grandkids, 5 boys and 5 girls. And I'm a lucky man to be married 51 years to the lady I've been married to.
Look at that was a middle school sweetheart. You went further back than high school.
Yeah, she wrote me a letter, so I had to accept it.
Wait, did she write that letter? Do you like me? Yes or no?
It
Circle
was short
one
and sweet, but I said yes.
immediately.
Of course I say yes. I've been knowing her my whole life.
Look at that.
Same church, grandparents, same church,
Oh,
parents,
wow.
same church.
You
Everything.
two were destined to be together.
Yes, because Mama used to hold her when she was a baby in the church, because family just knew the family.
You know they prayed that to happen.
I'm glad they did.
And look at that. Of course, your sons and your grandchildren. And you were at Southeast Paper,
I
right?
was at Southeast Paper for 22 years.
22 years. And what made you decide to transition to transportation?
I actually got hurt on the job. And I can't say nothing bad about the company, because
Right.
the company was good to me.
Right.
It
But you
just
got
didn't work
injured.
out. They didn't let me go back to work. But, you know, we have a plan, but God have another plan.
Right.
And so I actually believe I'm supposed to be driving the bus I'm driving, the street I'm driving. I actually stay on that street.
Do you? So you know these little kids and you know their families.
I know the older ones. I really don't really know the kids, because we got 26 units across the street from my house. So a lot of people move in and move out. But I get to see them, but I really don't know them. So can I tell you a story about why I drive the bus, but I wanted to do something for the kids after driving the bus the first year. So
Yeah.
we started doing this Halloween thing. But let's say I started to do it, but it's a young man down the street, I don't want to leave him out, Nakia Smith. He actually was doing something the same day, but my grill was lit first, so he brought everything that he had down to the spot we was at.
Right.
And we've been doing this together every year since then. This would have been the 9th year that we would have done this.
Barbecuing.
Grill, hot dog, hamburger, chips, candy. The ladies in the neighborhood, Miss Lynn and some more people, they bring beans. They bring a lot of stuff.
So it all has come together to like a neighborhood feast for these kids.
I can tell you 2 years we fed over 200 people.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the first year it came out of my pocket. After that, my doctors, the community, the gym, Clark's gym, they donated stuff, and
Wow.
I want to say one more thing. We got some retired school teachers that come serve every year.
Every year.
And we have had Dr. Hall there 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I do that because I see what's in the neighborhood. And God has been good to me. Mm-hmm. And we want to give back. But that's enough on that. I love to drive a school bus.
Look at that.
I actually love it. I hadn't missed a day, and I don't know when. I got to the hospital in 2017. Mm-hmm. So the last 3 years, I hadn't missed a day. I hadn't taken a personal holiday. I like doing my job.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And so you, Mr. Henderson, of course, I see you from time to time when you're waiting on those little babies to get on that school bus. And I can just tell when I even talk to you that you love what you do.
I do. Everybody don't believe it. Some of the parents, bus driving is not smooth.
Right.
We have kids don't want to wear the mask. They don't want to do certain things.
Right.
And we
right.
have to tell them. And I can say the parents believe their kid. Mm-hmm. But parents, we would not do anything to hurt your kid.
Yeah.
We just want to keep them safe.
And I think that's a good message to give to the parents because, it's not just one child that you're responsible for.
That's right.
You're responsible for a bus full of kids. And you've got to make sure that you're making the best decision
For everybody.
For everybody.
Yes.
And so for that, I believe you want the parents to be understanding of that.
Yes.
And to give you all some grace and allow you to be able to do what you do.
Do our job.
Do your job.
Yes.
And do your job effectively
It's safe.
and safely.
I pray every day that
Yeah.
I get your kid home safe every day. And I thank God when I do get your kids home safe every day.
And some of the bus drivers talking about they treat the children like they're their own kids.
I treat mine like my grandkids. Because I can tap my kids upside the head, But the grandkids are special.
And when you put that into perspective, that's somebody else's grandkid that is entrusted in you.
It is.
That's beautiful, Mr. Henderson. And for you, the way you had to transition and how you have fallen in love with your job, and even the good coming with the bad, you've been able to handle that.
Yes.
Has your hair gotten any grayer through the years?
I think so.
And with that comes wisdom. And so what advice do you want to give to other bus drivers to help them become better at what they do?
Well, there's certain days that kids expect things. Not this year. Like Christmas. I've been buying apples and oranges and candy. Mm-hmm. But this year, with the virus going on, we're not changing anything. We're not doing a Halloween thing this year either because we want to be as safe as possible.
Right,
as
right.
soon as this go away, we will start back to doing the little things that we do for our kids. I don't do the tricks on the bus. I would love to communicate because I do reelers and crazy stuff and give them money if they can answer stuff. But this year, I'm staying away from, we're staying family with family. We're not hands-on
Like you normally
like
are.
we normally do. So we're just riding the bus, being quiet and trying to wear our mask. But as soon as it's over, we'll get back to normal.
You're breaking loose, aren't you?
Because I'm a person that I just like to get involved. I cut up a lot. That's just me.
And the kids love that.
They do.
And you have a giving heart, and so they love that too. And I think that right now, you can say something to the kids as well to help them understand. The younger ones may not necessarily understand it as much as the older ones, but the fact that you've had to do things so much differently now with the pandemic and how nobody loves wearing the mask, but you all are just trying to make sure that everyone is safe given that space that they're in on those buses.
I like to tell the kids on my bus, if you ever see me with my mask off, you can take yours off. Because I wear mine before I get on the bus.
Right,
and
right.
wear it till I get off the bus.
Right.
And is it comfortable? No. But it's the scientists say the doctor said we need to do this. I'm going to follow their lead instead of following somebody else's lead.
And still have faith that we're going to be all right.
We are going to be all right. God take us through things for a reason.
Yes.
And I believe that. I
Amen.
didn't always believe that, but I do now.
You're a believer now.
You
of it?
go through some stuff and you understand some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, might not can explain it, But you know.
You've been through it.
I've been through it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Henderson, for everything that you've gone through and what you're bringing to the table here with Lawrence County Schools and the joy that you're bringing to these kids.
Yeah, I love what I do.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is William Henderson.
Community Bank of Dublin Lawrence County is here to help with all of your financial needs. Our team knows what it takes to make life easy and convenient and will help you get set up with our mobile and online banking. We founded Community Bank on common sense banking and a dedication to help people just like you. Our loan officer, Gail Rainey, Executive Vice President Brian Bazemore, and Branch Manager Amy Thompson know what it takes to make life easy and convenient and can help you with loans with almost everything. From your automobile, home, land, or any financial goals you have, come visit us today. Community Bank of Dublin Lawrence County, where common sense banking never goes out of style.
All right, we've got Miss Annette Taylor with us here. We did a ride-along yesterday. Hi, darling.
Yes, we did.
I rode your bus.
Yes, you did.
And before we start talking about that, Annette, let's talk about you because you have such an interesting story. Share with us about you and your family and how you have transitioned to where you are today at Lawrence County Schools.
All right. My name is Annette Taylor. I am a occupational health nurse. I am an EMT. I graduated from paramedic school. I'm a mom, and I'm a school bus driver. And people ask me, why are you a school bus driver if you have all those credentials? And I say, I ask myself that every single day.
Wow.
But where that stemmed from, I've never wanted to do anything else other than nursing since the age of 4. Wow. And transitioned in it. I was a candy striper at the age of 13. Went to school at Georgia Baptist Nursing School, which is now Atlanta Medical. Married, had my son. When I had my son, I decided I wanted to be on his schedule.
Wow.
And so then that made it to where, at that point, I told the doctors I worked with that, I'm going to have to do something different.
Wow.
Because what we did, the doctors I worked with, because I worked in the ER with them, the doctors I worked with decided to open their own practice.
Right.
And it was an occupational medicine clinic, internal medicine. We did school bus driver physicals for 5 different counties.
Oh my gosh.
So they had told me, said, one of these days you're going to be driving one of these. And I said, no, not me, not me. Well, when Brandon became of age to start school, that's when I decided I wanted to be on his schedule. Wow. So I started driving as well as doing my nursing because I got to keep that part of it, working for them PRN and during the summers. And then the counties incorporated my skills as far as with CPR classes, first aid classes, the safety classes and such as that. So I went from one county to the other, left Fayette County. I actually called here, didn't need a job. I didn't need a job, but I have family and friends that are here.
Right.
And they encouraged me, said, just call. Something's telling us for you to call. So I did. And I got Bruce, lead mechanic. He told me, he said, give me 5 minutes. Next thing I knew, Greg was calling me.
Wow.
And he told me, he said, Annette, he said, I'm just going to tell you this. I don't know how you believe. He said, but we prayed for you.
Wow.
We prayed for you to come to this county. And I said, well, why is that? And he said, because we don't have anybody here that has this, that can bring to the county what you can. We have to hire outside. And I said, well, Greg, if it's meant to be, we'll both pray on it. And within a month, I was here.
Here you are.
And I love it. It's like home.
Wow, look
I
at that.
absolutely love it.
So how long have you been with us?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. I remember when I first met you.
Yes, ma'am.
And here we are today.
Exactly.
And you know, and with everything that you do, you are doing the CPR training for the bus drivers, which I think is fantastic to have those skills, you know, in case there's some kind of incident on the bus. And the other trainings, what all of the trainings you're doing?
Well, that to me, that is one of the number one things. I wanted to see what the county, this county being so far and spread out.
Right.
We have got to make sure that the students as well as the employees are safe.
Yeah.
And Lawrence County does that.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I'm doing the first aid and CPR classes.
Oh, very good.
We're going to be doing skills testing, which will be something that the drivers do every year to make sure their skills, not saying that they can't drive. Absolutely, we know they can drive. They can drive better than anybody on the road.
But you've got to make sure they're sharp.
Exactly, because just like for me, for example, my route, I don't drive over a railroad track. If I don't use it, I lose it. So with the skills of remembering how to drive over a railroad track, we just repeat that, some of those things every year. We're going to do that. We're doing a driver safety class.
Look at
It's
that.
going to be a defensive driving type class. Not saying we're going to get a bus out there that's going to be dodging cars and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
But we
right.
just want to help to show them different things that can happen.
Real
like-
life scenarios.
Exactly. We're going to be doing that in the future. So those are some of the things that are down the pike.
That is fantastic, and I think that's so very important because what you see, you just see school buses picking up kids,
Exactly.
dropping them off, but
Exactly.
you all are doing a lot of intense training to make sure that those drivers are readily prepared,
Right. Continuing education for them every year.
and it's so necessary.
It is.
All right, let's go to this ride along you and I did. That was so interesting, and for me, it was exciting at the same time. And so, a day in the life of Annette. How does your day start?
Well, I start at 6:30 in the morning, pre-tripping the bus to make sure, because you have to do that to make sure that the bus is okay. All your lights and bells and whistles are working, because if they're not, that bus can't be riding. If one light's out, that bus can't be riding. I pick up my first student about 10 till 7, and we go from there. One of the things, and I don't mean to do that, but I want to brag on our transportation director. One of the things that I love about this county is that when I came here, I didn't know this county. And this is the third largest county in the state, I found out once I got here. We cover over 4,500 square miles a day.
Right.
And there's not one time that you can't pick up the radio and call because you need help, that he doesn't know where you are, who's with you, what student. I mean, because sometimes he's in need for me to drive a different route. Like I said, I don't know this county. You know,
Yeah.
all I have to do, well, Annette, ask for such and such.
Right.
You know that barn down the road? Turn it
Turn
that
there.
one. You know, that kind of thing. And that is a blessing.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to look it up. He doesn't have to call somebody.
Yeah.
When you need help, you need it then. And when you've got that many kids behind you, and as many kids as we're transporting for the amount of time, and in the
Right.
rural areas that we are, we need somebody
You
like
do.
that.
Oh, he knows this
And
county.
he
knows
knows
it
it.
like the back of his hand.
He does, and the kids know that. I mean, and the parents know it, and it's such a comfort knowing that you've got somebody there that if it needs to be rerouted, or or call because there's a wreck, okay, now I need you to go this way because
Right.
we, that kind of thing. So it's such a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It is a blessing.
And he was on the bus with us too.
Yes, he
And
was. Yes, he was.
He was giving you instructions.
Oh, yes, it was so funny. It was so, because at one point I saw this over an aisle and I started to say, all right, you know where you're supposed to be, and I realized, oh, that's Greg.
And and just meeting, we got the chance to chat with some of her little bus riders,
Yes,
and
my
and you're
babies.
going to see them in just a few moments. They're going
My
to share with
babies.
you from our bus ride and what that means for them as little kids. And I thought it was just so precious. And to see that relationship that you've built with them, and you'll see on the top of her bus where she's got like little pictures that the kids have drawn and painted, and then there's one that the parents have done. And how special is your relationship with your bus riders and parents to you?
We call it our house. That's our house.
Yeah.
So when you come into my house, my rules.
Yeah.
We have the county rules, but we have my rules. Do you leave your room messy? No. So they pick up after themselves. Do you, drink or eat in your bedroom? No. So you don't drink and eat here. But just like a parent, if you bring me something, you tell me about your grades, we're going to reward it.
Yeah.
We talk about, bring me a picture. Well, that's how that started. And when my one set of little darlings or whatever, they took it to the next level because mom's an artist.
Yes.
And she painted me a picture, and that's hanging on my bus.
The little Shay kids, Brandy's
Exactly.
kids.
Oh, I love those children.
That's really special. That's something that you'll always have with you when you talk about those relationships. And, from time to time, we've been sharing about how special that relationship is, and for me on a personal level. And so it's like the parents trust you.
That's one of the things that, I said when I started driving, because I wanted to be on my son's schedule, right? And I was only going to do it for a couple of years, and I wound up doing it till he was a junior in high school.
How
Now, I
old is
didn't
he?
drive
Wait, how
him.
old is he
I know,
now?
he's 24. I didn't drive him, but I drove other students. And you do. That's your family.
Yeah.
Those kids are your family.
Yeah.
And I sang at 2 of their weddings, and I sang at 1 of their funerals. on the kids I had in the
Oh,
past.
my
That's how
gosh.
close you get to these kids. You're the first smile they see in the morning, and it might be the last smile they see in the afternoon.
Look at that.
You don't know. So you listen, and you're there for them. Those are your kids. That's our house. Those are our kids.
Well, you are the mama of that bus, honey.
Yes, ma'am, I am, and they know it.
Any last words, Miss Annette?
I just love being here, and you've been such a blessing for me in this county.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate it so much. And God put me here for a reason, and I believe that every day because it's home. And I love Lawrence County.
And we're so glad to have you
I
home.
appreciate that very much.
This is the lovely Miss Annette Taylor.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here riding this school bus with Miss Annette Taylor. And it's been awesome on this ride along. We've got some great students here on the bus. And we've got a little cutie patootie here. Meow.
Yes,
How
we
are
do.
you?
Good.
Tell everybody who you are and what grade you're in and where you go to school.
I'm Ava Baggett. I'm in 3rd grade, and I go to Southwest Lawrence Elementary School.
Ava, who are your parents?
Kristen Mary Baggett and Ashley Baggett.
Very good. So here it is. You're riding the school bus, Ava. Do you like riding the school bus?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you like about riding a school bus?
My school bus is nice, and that nobody bullies anybody on the bus.
That's good. That's very important, isn't it? I like what she said about nobody bullies you on the bus. And you've got older kids on the bus, so they tend to look out for you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What do you think about Miss Annette? I see you drew a really beautiful picture for her for Bus Driver Appreciation.
I think she's sweet, and she's nice, and she's kind.
Oh my goodness. And I bet that is just like you, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is little Ava, everyone. Thank you, Ava.
You're welcome.
All right. We've got another student here on the bus. Hey, sir. How are you?
Doing fine, doing fine. Doing fine.
Tell us who you are and what grade you're in.
Juwan Floyd, 9th grade.
9th grade. And so, do you ride the bus with your family? Do you have any relatives on the bus with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else on the bus with you?
Well, right now, it's just my little brother that's in 1st grade, but I got one that's in 8th grade.
Okay. Now, for you riding the bus, we often talk about it's a privilege to ride the bus. How's your experience been on the bus?
I mean, it's good.
No problems?
No problem.
With you having younger siblings, how important is it for you to make sure they're safe on the bus as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Very important. And we're highlighting bus drivers and letting them know how much we appreciate them. Is there anything you want to say to Miss Annette here, your bus driver?
Thank you for driving safe.
Thank you for keeping us safe. That's very important when you think about it, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, how's your school year been going?
Fine.
It's been good. How are your grades? You keeping things up?
Yes, ma'am. Good.
Are you involved in sports or anything?
No, not this year.
Not this year. You're staying focused, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it's been a pleasure talking with you, son.
All right.
All right, thank you. All right, Emma, introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know where you go to school, what grade, and tell us about things that you do.
Well, I'm Emma Hardiman. I'm in 5th grade. I go to Southwest Lawrence Elementary, and I used to play some soccer when I was a kid, but I quit playing it. So,
Miss Annette told us that you have been one of the best bus riders ever. She said that when she first started, you helped her with her route. Tell us about all of that.
well, I'm usually the last one on, so I try to be the best, but I try to be the best.
You try to be the best. And so, Emma, how does it feel for you riding the bus with Miss Annette? How's this been for you?
Well, it's been nice. Me and her, we act like friends all the time. I draw her pictures, and she's a nice person to me.
That's good. And do you feel safe on the bus when you ride?
I feel a lot safe.
Very good. There's a lot of younger kids on the bus, What do you do or what do you all do to make sure that the younger kids are safe and are doing well?
Well, when we have substitutes, I try to look out for them in case they're by themselves in the seats and stuff, so they won't get hurt.
That's good. And Emma, a lot of times, the parents are always concerned about you all safety. That's number one. And so for you feel safe on the bus. What message do you want to give out there to those parents for the ones that sometimes get worried about kids riding the bus?
Well, they just need to have brave in their selves and have brave in their kids that they will be safe.
And just trust the bus drivers and trust the kids on the bus to make sure you're keeping one another safe.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else you want to say to Miss Annette?
Well, not that much.
That's all right. But she's a good bus driver, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is Emma, everyone.
When the power's out, you're out of business. But with natural gas, with the City of Dublin, when the power's out, you can still cook on your gas stove, or shower with your gas hot water heater, or even fire up the grill. Plus save money every single day, because natural gas costs half the price of electricity and propane. Start saving today with the City of Dublin Natural Gas. Call Brad Grimes at 277-5048 and you'll never be out of business with natural gas.
You know, this has really been such a fantastic day, getting the opportunity to chat with the bus drivers and actually see them in person other than behind those masks on those buses. And just for a split second, we've got Mr. David Howard with us. Hi, sir.
How you doing, Pat?
Doing great. How are you?
Well, right this minute I'm doing fine. We'll know later.
We'll see how it goes,
How
right?
it goes.
And for you, we want to hear about your story. So share with us about your family first and talk to us about your journey.
All right, and how I got to be a bus driver.
Yes,
It was
sir.
kind of prolonged a long time before I got this job. But what it was, my father had started a little meat business in 1938, the year I was born.
Wow.
And he had a brother. And they just kind of built on that business, and my daddy had 3 sons. You were obligated to come back into this business. We didn't, I think back, I don't really think we had a choice.
Wow.
Because it was a family
business. You wanted to keep that family legacy
That's
going.
exactly right. So I came back with my other brothers after we finished our college and Army tours and got all that out of the way. So we came back and all went to work together. And we stayed together. My daddy passed away in 93. And then I lost one of my brothers in 96. See, we're dwindling now down. And then my other brother had heart trouble. And I looked around and seemed like David was the only person there with the leadership, if you want to call it.
Right.
And I continued on until 2000 when the market changed where what we were in, the butchering business. We butchered hogs. 2 years before we decided to give it up because of the lack of hog raising in this county. We killed 59,000 hogs 2 years before I give it up.
59,000.
Anyway, they were all raised here in Lawrence County.
My dad was a hog farmer.
We might have bought some hogs from him.
Lewis Stanley.
We bought them and you won from him.
Oh my God.
Yes, sirree.
Look at
yes,
that.
sirree. But anyway, that's what we did my whole life until, like I say, the market changed. And hogs got so cheap till all the farmers in the county had to give it up.
Wow.
So in giving up, it put us in a bind. And we fought it trying to buy from big packers and different things, but it didn't work out. So, and most of my family had already passed away or either sick except me. My brother had 3 boys and they were going to come into the business.
Right.
Well, 2 of them graduated from Mercer University. One of them graduated from Georgia. Wow. And I got with my brother. I picked him up at home and we rode down the little road that went down to the plant and I stopped. I said, his name was Tommy. I said, Tommy, we need to make a decision.
Wow.
I said, you're not able to continue and I'm 62. And I said, these 3 boys of my brother that passed away, I said, we'll never be able to pay them the money they can make.
Right.
So one of them went back to school and is a pharmacist.
Look at that.
One of them went back to school and is a lawyer.
Wow.
And the other one is helping his brother in the law business.
Look at that family legacy, though.
That's what I mean.
Look how it is transitioned.
But I think I made the right call.
You did.
I did. Okay, now I'm 62 with no job.
Right. What do I do?
That for 3 months I cut my grass so much until it hardly got this high. And I had a little poodle. Some of them said that he was a greyhound to start with, but I walked him so much he became a poodle.
Lord have mercy, Mr.
Oh, well, I told my wife.
What's her name?
Mary Alice.
Oh,
She's departed now, but I'll get to that. But anyway, I told her, I says, Mary Alice, I truly feel like I'm waiting to die.
Wow.
I've got to do something.
Look at that.
And in church, we were churchgoers, only a mile from our house. We're all members and all went to church there. There were 25 Howards at one time going to New Bethel Church.
Wow.
So
That's your family church.
well, we live and built houses all around my parents' houses. And if you dropped a bomb on Hill Bridge Road in 257, it would get every one of them.
Everybody.
Wow. We all stayed home.
All stay close.
I got married, and from where I was raised, I moved 100 yards and built me a house.
Look at that.
We had a 50th class reunion, and everybody got up, or passed the microphone around, and everybody's got to telling they'd been to Europe, and they've been to Germany, and they've been to Canada and all, and they handed me the phone. I says, well, y'all all knew where I lived. I moved 100 yards. That's it. Here's
Next person.
next. Anyway, but my wife, for instance, there used to be a Martin Theater, and it's still there now, but they've redone it.
Right.
That's where all the kids hung out. Martin
was the
Theater.
spot.
Yes, sir, especially on Saturday for features,
Right.
But anyway, I went up to get me a bar of candy. I was 16 years old. And I just happened to look across to the other side, and there stood this girl. I'd never seen her before in my life, didn't know her name, nothing about her. Cupid shot a heart right in my heart.
Right there.
That's what I fell in love with her.
At 16.
She was 14.
A young one.
All right. Now I had to figure out a way to meet her.
Right.
I worked every trick because she was going with this good-looking boy.
Right.
And what made it even worse, he run the machine in the theater.
Really?
She had the inside track.
Inside. That's
But
right.
anyway, took me a year to accomplish getting a date with her.
1 whole year, Mr. David.
What made it bad was I carried her to the ball game. I played basketball for Dexter. And as we got in the car and we started up the road, she looked over at me. And you know what this young girl told me?
What did she tell you?
I'm only going with you to make my boyfriend jealous.
Oh, my word.
Now, should that have set me back?
It should have.
It didn't.
You kept plowing on.
But on the first, I'll change the subject at a time. But anyway, the first date that I carried her home, and I'm popular at the little schools then. So if you was on the basketball team, you was it.
Yes.
You walk down the hall, the kids, every one of them run out to see you.
Is that right?
I loved it. Anyway, I carried her home, and there was 4 or 5 steps, and she stood on the second step, and I'm standing there thinking, should I kiss her goodnight or not?
What did you do, Mr. David?
Well, I stood there a second, and I moved a little bit forward as she did, so I got my signal right there.
That the coast was clear.
So now I kissed her, and I says, man, I have just got it made now. I turned around and fell over a bicycle. So that wasn't a good start.
Mr. David.
We were married.
It was a little rocky.
Yeah, but we were married 63 years.
What a beautiful blessing that was.
And she got sick 10 years into, before she passed away. And I looked after her, and it got to the last month or two.
Look at that.
Now, you're talking about the people in the county system and how good they are and
Right.
nice they are. I'm not sure I can get through this now.
That's okay.
But I called Greg and told him the situation. He said, take off as long as you want.
Look at that.
And that's what I did.
That is so sweet.
I was holding her hand when she died.
Oh my God.
Tears me up.
I know it does. Look at all those beautiful, beautiful years that you had with the love of your life.
But anyway, back to school bus driving. You got me off.
You got me off, Mr. David.
But anyway, you can trim whatever.
No, you're
you want.
good. You're good. I think people need to hear your heart.
Yeah. Well,
So that they'll understand and really respect the person that you are even more so
But
by
they-
knowing where you come from.
But the people, the drivers, Brother Grady, everybody, you just can't believe how supportive they were.
It's like your other family.
It is. It is.
And you've been doing this for how long now?
This is my 20th year.
Your 20th year.
And the way I really got started in it, I was active with the young people in church. Had a little basketball teams, and I'd coach, and softball teams. And so I loved the young people, the children. I always did. And anyway, I was playing golf. I love to play golf. And I was playing golf, believe it or not, with the county school superintendent.
Look at you.
And I made the comment. I says, Bill, I don't want, it was Bill Rowe at the time.
Right.
I said, Bill, I don't want to have to work. I want a job, but I don't want a job that requires 60 and 80 hours a week. Like I worked all my life. That's the way you work. And I said, but I want good insurance. And I want short hours.
Right.
Now, I want to get paid, but it ain't got to be, just something. And I wasn't even talking about bus driving.
Really?
I was talking about just in conversation. Bill looked at me. He said, David, come by the office Monday. That was Sunday afternoon. He said, come. I said, what you want me to be, a janitor or something? I said, I can do that. No, he said, I ain't telling you nothing. You come by my office. So I went by there, and I went in and sat down. And he said, well, David, I'm going to tell you now, I'm winding up my tenure. Says, you'll be the last person I hire.
Wow.
I said, but you hadn't told me anything yet. He says, a bus driver. And I sort of leaned back. I said, Bill, I've always worked people I could fire.
I love you.
I said, I'm not sure
You can't fire the kids.
I can't fire these kids. He said, well, well, Dave, I said, Bill, I don't really know. I mean, I'm used to, being with kids and handling them,
Yes,
and
sir.
doing stuff like that. But I said, a busload of kids. He said, you can always quit.
Right.
I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
Wow.
And I seen him the other day eating lunch somewhere. He was with his son, and he made the comment to his son when I walked up. He said, David says, his son's named David
Look
too.
at that.
And he says, David, this is the last person I hired right here. And
Look
he's
at
been
that.
doing it, this is 20th year.
20th year.
And ma'am, you just can't work with any better people than the bus drivers and the Board of Education. We were short of drivers a good bit for several years,
Right.
subs. And one day, my wife got sick, and I had to rush her to the hospital. And I called Greg, I think 4 o'clock in the morning. and told him, I says, Greg, I'm on the way now to the hospital with my wife. And before the ambulance could even put her in the ambulance, Greg was there.
There. Wow.
And I went to get in my car because I was, you know, not doing good.
Right.
He said, no, you come on, I'm going to carry you to the hospital.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Now, how do you beat that?
How do you beat that?
How do you beat that?
That's that love in action.
That's exactly right.
And you are definitely a recipient of something that you've sown for so many years, Mr. David.
But I love doing it. I love the kids. It's just, they just amaze me. Like this little girl one time, she was the last person to get off on the bus, off the bus, and she was standing right behind me, and she would lean over and talk in my ear, you know, all the time. Anyway, she's not even 6 years old.
Right.
And she leans over and says, Mr. Howard. Her last name was Allen. She says, Mr. Howard, did you know if you'll deliver us in alphabetical order, I'd be first? And I've never forgotten that.
You've never forgotten
But the one that broke my heart now, you cut me off anytime you want to. But the one that absolutely broke my heart, I actually cried on the bus.
Wow.
I had this little girl, 12 years old. I hate to say she was mean. I don't like using the word mean. She was hard to handle.
Right.
She was always in trouble. You know, I was always having to move her here, move her there, and talk with her and try to. Well, it was drizzling, just drizzling rain. And this mother was waiting at the bus stop with an umbrella. Now, don't ask me why all this bothered me. She was waiting with the umbrella. And her little child got off. He was probably 7, 8 years, waiting and keep the umbrella over himself. And this girl that's causing so much trouble, 12 years old, I look up in the mirror, and she has put her nose right on that window looking at that mama with that little boy. She says, I wish I had a mother like that.
Wow.
That was it.
That was it. You don't ever know why people are the way they are,
That was
why they respond to things the way they do.
That's right.
But that was the moment that you,
Boy,
yeah,
tore me up.
tore you up.
And I really approached her different after that.
Wow.
I did. I did everything I could.
Wow.
And that's what a bus driver's supposed to do.
You're so beautiful, Mr. David. Hearing your story, you have made me laugh and you have made me cry within this interview, but I'm so thankful. I feel that I'm a better person having met you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched this interview with Mr. David Howard, you now can really have a greater appreciation for who he is as a person, as a husband, as a father, as a bus driver. And we love and appreciate you so much, Mr. Howard.
Thank you so much.
This is Mr. David Howard.
Hi, I'm Don Coles with Dublin Chevrolet. Many of us are ready to enjoy the holidays.
This 21 Trailblazer Active is only $25,295.
Call, click, or come see us. Dublin Chevrolet, the only dealer you'll ever need.
You know, I had just had a very emotional and hilarious conversation with Mr. David Howard, and it was so beautiful. And now we are transitioning to my girl, Claudia. Miss Claudia Wright, how are you?
I'm lovely. How about you?
Doing well. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
I like those glasses.
Thank you.
Now, listen, this is an opportunity for you to, Miss Claudia, to really share about yourself, okay? And talk to us about your family. And we want to hear about what your journey has been to get you to where you are working in the field of transportation.
Well, I started out driving the bus back in 1988. And blessed to Mr. Lemon Roger, he was at the laundromat one day when I was there. And one afternoon, he said, well, how about you coming in to learn how to, I can train you to drive the bus. I said, me? He said, yes. I said, okay, I'll give it a try. He said, how about meet me this afternoon at home? And he told me where he lived at and everything. I said, well, I'll be there. So I started out learning how to drive the bus by Mr. Lemma Roger.
Who is now retired.
Who is retired.
Enjoying his life.
Sure.
But he brought you on into the fold.
Yes, and I really enjoyed it. And getting home that afternoon, we got to the school. He said, I want you to drive. I said, Mr. Lemma, I don't know nothing about this bus. He said, oh, Claudia, get on here.
Get on here.
Get up on this wheel here. So I got up on the wheel. I started driving. So I rode with him for a week. The next week, he put me on the bus by myself. And I started driving. Been driving ever since.
That's 32 years. And in those 32 years, you've probably developed so many different relationships with these kids. You probably run into so many kids who are now, you're driving their kids.
Yes, even my own kids.
Wait a minute, you were your kids' bus driver.
Sure.
How was that for you?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
From football, my son started playing football, and I was a designated driver to pick them up in the afternoon to get them home. Well, I dropped them off up there at Dove and Montrose Post Office. And some evening, we stop at Dove. They said, Miss Claudia, we are hungry. I give them some money. Go in the Dove and get you something. Get you some potato log. They go get them some potato log. They come back and say, Miss Claudia, you are the best. So we was really, really hungry after practice.
So 32 years, you have been entrusted, kids have been entrusted in your care. And when you talk about those 32 years, what ways have you changed to become a better bus driver?
Well, as a bus driver, when I get on my bus every day, every morning, every afternoon, I didn't have the feeling like, ooh, I don't want to go get on this bus today. I felt good about my bus every day. I had good kids on my bus every day.
Wow.
They respected me and I respected them.
And you're talking about the climate of a bus, you have to set that stage. You have to lay those foundational ground rules.
Right.
And what are some of those rules that you have on your bus that the kids have not only, had to adapt to, but they're also applying them and doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, first of all, they know they weren't supposed to be eating on the bus. No arms or head out the windows or anything like that. And I tell them, I said, look, the county got their rule. Miss Claudia also have her rules. I said, we're going to go by the rule. You know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. They went along with me because they know I didn't play around with them.
Oh, you don't play? As
a kid, I see kids on the bus. It wasn't about color. I see kids on the bus. They was my baby.
Right.
I tell them, you are the first face that I see in the morning, the last face I see in the afternoon.
And we stress about the safety on those buses and trying to be safe. And of course now with COVID-19, you all are having to sanitize these buses often and making sure that the kids have their masks on. And we've had so many issues where parents, either in agreement with it or not compliant to it. But I think that as a whole, as a district, we're really trying to do the best that we can to make sure that we're trying to ensure that safety. And for you, you're in that position. It's like, okay.
It's hard for them to wear them. I said, I don't want to wear them, but I got to wear them for my safety. You have to wear it for your safety.
And especially
we just have to work together.
And those little ones.
Yes.
The little ones.
Yeah.
And what do you love most about your job, Miss Claudia?
I love my babies on the bus. They are all my babies.
Look at that.
From pre-K through to 12. They are all my babies.
This is just a lot of relationships here that are all coming together, and they're starting on this bus. They're starting on these buses to where when they do see your face, your smiling face, good morning, that's something that sticks with them.
Right.
We interviewed some of the little bus riders yesterday about what it means for them to be on the bus, because it's definitely a privilege.
Right.
And they said, I like being on the bus because my bus driver's nice, she's kind, and she doesn't let anybody bully me.
Oh, no.
And when you talk about that, because you can have you've had so many incidences when you talk about riding a bus where there have been some really troubled times on buses, and and you've got cameras now to where you can back up what's happening.
Right.
And we want you to give some messages out there.
Yeah.
Give a message for one to the parents.
Right.
Because the parents, you know, they've got to be able to trust you to do what you do.
That's true.
So give a message to those parents. What would you like for your parents to know?
Well, first of all, on my route, I know every parent that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I got to tell my babies on the bus, I say, okay, don't let me have to call mom or dad, because I have every number here.
Mm-hmm.
And they agree with me. The only thing I got to do is call their parents. They will talk to those kids.
Wow.
And they will tell you, y'all know Miss Claudia not going to take this mess on this young bus. She's not going to put up with it.
Right.
And they will tell me, if you have a problem with my child, call me.
Call me.
And that's what I like about that, you know. And they know, if they got a problem, I'm going to stop there and toot that horn. They're going to come out there.
And so the parents are respective of you in your position.
Right.
And they trust you in your position.
Right. They trust me.
What do you want to say to those students, your babies?
I love my babies. I will always love my babies.
Does it
Even the ones that just graduate,
Yes.
I love all my babies.
And you know, talking to Robert Nelson about having worked in the transportation arena for so many years, to not only when you're driving around, not just your kids, but those kids, their kids that you used to ride.
So I have 2 of my grands on the bus now with me.
Oh my Lord, what do they call you?
Grand.
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 Wow. And look at the relationships you've built.
And they're in the 9th grade at West Lawrence High.
That's precious. And what do you want to say to your fellow bus drivers? Because you all are a family.
I love each and every one of y'all. It is nothing you can do about it. I love Mr. Pauldo.
Oh, Greg.
He had made a big change with us. He's there with us. Miss Angie there with us. Sometimes I forget to clock out and clock in. All I got to do is message her, and she said, I got you.
I got you.
I said, you know, I'm getting old now.
How great a feeling is that? How great a feeling is that?
It makes me feel good, because she never have an attitude with you. She say, I'll be glad to do it. Greg the same way.
And that is why your job, that's part of the reason why what makes your job so enjoyable. Because it's the kids, the people you work with, all of that comes together.
Right.
Any last words, Miss Claudia?
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Angie. Thank you, Mr. Pauldo.
Yeah. And thank you.
And I really was nervous.
But you did good. You did just fine. Thank you so much for the many years that you have poured out to these young people, the families that you've connected with, the ones that you're still connected to, and how you have given so much of yourself, so much of your time and your energy to these kids, and the love that you show them each and every day.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the lovely Miss Claudia Wright. We've got Miss Angie Woodall, who is the administrative assistant for the transportation department, and of course, she does IT support. She does it all. How are you, Angie?
I'm great. How are you, Pat?
I'm nice. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Now, Angie, you and I, you know, we've connected so well. I think that when I first transitioned here to Lawrence County Schools, and you were a godsend to me.
In what way?
Anytime I needed you.
Oh.
Anytime I needed you.
I love helping people.
And you can tell, and just getting the opportunity to kind of chat with the transportation folks and just talking about how instrumental you've been to them is special.
They're my family. They are my family at work. I love my drivers and monitors.
And I've heard you say that so many times to where you get tears in your eyes as you're sharing with us now, and we're just getting started.
I do. I've got so many special drivers. They've been through a lot in the last few years, and I feel like I share with them and try to encourage them and help them through some pretty bad times that they've had.
Well, let's hear a little bit of your backstory, okay? Share with us about your family, your new grandmother, and you know, and so share with us about your family and your road to where you are today, because it didn't just start in transportation. You've been doing other things.
Right. I actually started straight out of high school. I got my IT degree while I was working at the paper mill. I was at the paper mill for 24 years.
Oh, wow.
Did IT support there. When West Rock came in, they kept one person, and that was the youngest one in the department. But you know, God has always been instrumental in where He has put me.
Yeah.
And I really thought I would retire from the paper mill, but God had other things.
Yeah.
And when I came to the board in 2014, and when they initially put me in transportation a year after I'd been there, I thought, what in the world?
Right, right.
Because I knew nothing about transportation. I knew nothing about anything that it entailed. So it was a learning curve big time for me.
Right.
But the drivers made it so easy. The monitors, I mean, we are just a really big family. And they helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And Mr. Pauldo helped me out a lot. And Mr. Travick, who was the transportation director when I first moved into transportation, he helped me a lot with what needed to be done, although he was new in transportation as well.
Wow.
So Belinda Stanley, who was transportation secretary before, helped me tremendously to know what needed to be done and when it needed to be done. And I just love the way everyone works together.
Yeah. And just hearing how you all work is kind of like a well-oiled machine.
It is.
You're helping one another. You're making sure that there's nothing's falling through the cracks. And if it is, you're picking up that slack to help one another. And in your position as administrative assistant, I mean, you're handling all of the paperwork and making sure everybody has, what is a day like for you, Angie?
Well, the bus drivers, I mean, we have a timekeeping system for leave. If we have a bus driver out, then we have to have someone to fill that position. So I'm the one that takes care of all of that detailed information as far as keeping up with the records of that sort, and helping Mr. Pauldo find subs when we need them for drivers and or monitors. Matter of fact, I've been trying to find one all morning, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll be the monitor on that bus this afternoon.
Look at that.
So, there's, like I said, we just do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And a daily, I mean, every day is different.
And so you have 77 bus drivers. Do you know how many bus monitors you have or subs?
18, I think. We have a bus monitor on every SPED bus, which is special education. And then we have a couple others, special instances that we have bus monitors on different buses.
And so when I call you about something, just calling you and asking you for a list of the bus drivers, you sent me 3 different type lists. You're like, hold on, let me send this one. This will be better for you to get what you need. And I'm like, you're so well organized. And I think that the IT part of you being able to solve problems and do so many computer logistics things, that's what helps you even be better at what you do.
Well, in IT world, when I was straight IT, you could be called up and 3 minutes later be 3 days behind. Because if you had a server go down, I don't care how caught up you are, you're behind now.
Right.
Trying to catch up and get that server back up. So yes, if I have something to do, I want to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit on it. I don't want to save it till tomorrow. I want to get it done today.
Anytime I ask you for something, you get it right away. And I remember when I first started working at Lawrence County, I would call Angie about everything. Miss Angie, I can't get my computer to print. And you would come right on over and you would help me. Miss Angie, I can't scan this form. I don't have a scanner. And and so with me being a babe in my position, I want to let you know publicly how much I appreciate you and how you have been there for me for whenever I needed you. You've never not done anything I've asked, and you've always done it with a smile. Or even a little song.
True. We had a song just about for every instance.
Every instance you and I would sing. And and you have been, in that musical arena for how many years now?
I started playing piano when I was 2. My first picture at the piano was at 2.
2 years old. And you've been a part of the church
This is
ministry.
my 31st year as pianist at Poplar Springs North.
31
yes,
years.
I've played at other churches, but we've been at Poplar Springs North for this is my 31st year.
Wow, you recently had a wedding anniversary?
Yes, and recently have a new grandbaby.
New grandbaby. Oh my, so many great things are happening for you, and it just shows, of where your foundation is and how you give and pour out to others.
Well, God has given so much to me. He's blessed me so that all I can do is bless others in return.
And you're definitely doing that. And from the office of the transportation department, you know, you're got so many different moving pieces, you know, with the bus drivers and with the routes and how you all have to keep all that together. What do you want to say to your bus drivers?
I just want to tell them thank you.
Yeah.
Because they have been super in getting in their paperwork. I mean, this COVID has made everything harder for them and for everybody. I mean, everybody's had to deal with it. But, you know, we have worked together. The bus drivers have given a lot of extra time to make sure that everything is turned in properly. And, you know, a lot of times we've had to change routes and double up on people, and we've had to call the drivers and say, hey, can you do this? And they're like, absolutely, what do I need to do? And it has been really good that they have been so accommodating, even though it has been really hard at times.
Really hard. And you know, you work closely with Mr. Pauldo, and I've been hearing the things about how he really cares about the bus drivers, and he goes above and beyond. What would you like to say about Mr. Pauldo?
He is a wonderful leader. I mean, those bus drivers have so much respect for him.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter what he asks them to do, they're ready to do it.
Ready to do it.
Because he does take care of them, and he does go to bat for them a lot of times. And that's not to say that he doesn't, you know, chastise when needed.
Right.
But he really applauds them for what they do.
That's beautiful.
You know.
And what do you want to say to those parents? Because the parents entrust those bus drivers and you all in your position to make sure you're doing what's necessary for their kids to be safe.
The drivers absolutely love those babies.
Yeah.
They do, and they talk about it all the time. And it amazes me. I've had to ride a few buses, and I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
But they have such a special heart for these kids. And I know a lot of that starts at home.
Right.
You know, with these kids, but a lot of kids don't have the love at home that they get when they get on those buses. And they get that smile every morning.
Right.
And they just love the kids. And they're just a special part of their life every day.
And that's beautiful. And thank you for being a special part of our lives every day.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the lovely Miss Angie Woodall, who is the administrative assistant for the transportation department. I love you, girl.
I love you too. You are the sunshine of my life.
I missed that.
I do too.
Angie Woodall, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stepping Stone Child Advocacy Center is a nonprofit organization serving the Dublin and Oconee Judicial Circuit. We provide confidential services to children and adults who have experienced child abuse or sexual assault. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond to your crisis or need. When you take that step to report your abuse or assault, we will be here to help you navigate your way to hope and healing. You will be treated with kindness and respect as you receive services such as forensic interviews, medical exams, legal advocacy and support, as well as referrals to counseling. All of these services are provided to you free and confidential.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this has been such a great show. And I always love seeing female bus drivers because Miss Haskins was my #1 bus driver growing up. And then here we've got Miss Yvonne Lamp with us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
You too.
Pretty in pink. Yes. You know, you and I have been talking off camera, Miss Yvonne, and it's like now, I know this is kind of new for you to be on camera, but we really wanted to do a show to highlight and let the bus drivers know and the transportation department know how special you are to us and how important your job is for the big picture.
Right.
But we want to know about your journey. Are you ready to share with us?
I think so.
All right, tell us about you and your family, and let's talk about how you have transitioned through the years in your profession to do what you're doing today.
Okay, so, well, how far back do you want me to start? When I graduated in 1978 from West Lawrence. I was married I worked at the shirt factory in Alamo for about 12 years, but after I quit there, I stayed home with my children. I had 3 children at that time. I stayed home with them for 2 or 3 years, and then I started substituting my husband drove a bus. My daddy drove a bus for Southwest, for West Lawrence, yeah. So it was sort of in the blood. So I substituted for a little while. Then I took a full-time route.
Wow.
And I've been driving for like 25, 26 years.
25, 26 years.
Yes.
And look at all those memories you've made.
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of changes too.
A lot of changes. So if you have a family lineage of bus drivers, I'm sure that your dad probably taught you some things growing up.
Well, he was driving when I was like in 12th grade. He started driving.
And
he drove for a little while until his health went bad. And then, but my husband started driving, and he had 3 or 4 jobs, which he drove school bus with those other jobs. And then I started substituting to bring in a little extra money for the children. So.
Right. What do you enjoy most about your job, Miss Yvonne?
I enjoy the children, really. I enjoy seeing their smiling faces, and the people I work with, I love them to death. They all just as good as they can be.
And I've been hearing that, like, that's been the consensus. Like, everyone, they really enjoy their job. They love the people they work with, say that they can depend on one another if you need something.
That's right. They are
and they
so
said
good.
that those kids just light you up when you see them.
Now, they can get aggravating,
Of
don't
course.
get me wrong, but yeah, I love the kids.
But you know, that's like with any kids, right?
That's right, that's right.
And what are some of your rules on your school bus?
Oh, my rules, you stay in your seat and out of the aisle, no eating. I let them drink water, stuff like that, because my bus is not air conditioned yet, so.
Oh, Lord.
It gets hot on there, so yeah.
But there's not many buses that are air conditioned in our
No, there's
district.
not many more left, but.
But you still one of the last of the Mohicans.
Still one of the last.
Still one of the last.
Yeah.
Well, we grew up not having air conditioning.
I didn't have air conditioning, so it don't bother me.
I like to get a window seat. Pull that window down.
Yeah.
We'd like to try to stick our heads out. We know that wasn't
Yeah,
proper.
the
but
children
we have
like to do that too. You have to tell
or
them to
stick
sit
that
down.
hand out trying to do something.
That's right.
And
they
so,
still do that.
You know, I think that you've been doing this for so many years that there's got to be some staying power and things that you've learned through the years. How have you grown and matured as a bus driver that you've changed about yourself to be better at what you do?
That's a hard one. Let's see.
Because when you first started out, as opposed to where you are now, you've changed a little bit?
Well, I've changed some. I don't know, really.
Have you been the way you have been for so many years?
Mostly, yeah. I have the same rules, and I try to, do the same way.
Are you strict on your bus?
I don't think I'm too strict. Now, I don't know what the children say, but
we should have done a little questionnaire. What do y'all think about Miss Yvonne? But you know, Miss Yvonne, for 26 years, the relationships that you've built with those kids, and we've been talking about that, about it's all made up of relationships and how you treat those kids. And I think that the better you know your kids, the more you understand why they act the way that they do.
That's true. You treat them with respect, and then most of the time they'll treat you with respect. So, and truth be known, I went to school with the grandparents that I'm driving now, and I drove the parents too. They rode my bus too. So
look at that generation of people, the lives you're touching. And I was talking to just several of them, where Robert Nelson said that Greg Pauldo was on his school bus.
Really?
Yes. And just hearing how just this circle of life and how it's working together. And I think that what's been beautiful for me to hear, and I hope for you all out there as well, is to hear about your relationships. To really to hear your hearts, because you all you've gone through good times together, and you've gone through some very hard times together.
Yes.
And we talked about having some have lost loved ones throughout your journey in this department, and family members that have really been close to you, but you all have still managed to be there for one another.
Right. That's just the way we feel. We're so close. We love each other. We want to do what we can to help each other. And I know what it's like to go through losing somebody, and I want to try to help other people if I can, to help their feelings. It's not easy.
And so this past week, you had Bus Driver Appreciation.
Right.
And so what did you get this week? What did kids do things? What did you?
Yeah, several of them gave me cards where they were appreciative of my drive, and they loved me. And and they gave us some good stuff at the school too.
Look at that.
So,
and so just really trying to, and I think that that's important, that you give honor where honor is due, to help build that morale, to help, lift your spirits.
That helps out. It really does. That was so nice. What they gave us is they gave us some good stuff at the school. Some good stuff to eat for breakfast.
Look at that.
Yeah. Because when I get on the bus early in the morning, I don't get breakfast before I get.
How early do you start off?
I start out about 20 after 6. I leave my house, and then I have an extra little route, so I don't usually get home till about 9:30, between 9 and 9:30. So.
Oh, and it's dark when you start.
Oh yes, it's very dark.
And we talked about some of the rural areas that some have to go through. Do you have to do a lot of dirt roads with your route?
Yes, I do.
How far out do you go?
Oh, I go probably. I live way out. I live way out in Cedar Grove, so I have a lot of dirt roads, and I go close to. I go to the Wheeler County line. I go in 2 places. I go to the Wheeler County line.
And you know, people, we want you to understand when we're talking about a 4,500 square miles of driving every day with our school district. That's exactly what it is.
It is
4,500 miles, and that is tremendous. And so I know you have devotions in the morning.
Oh yes, I love that part.
And praying for your safety. That is so important.
It is.
How many kids do you have on your bus now?
I have about between 25 and 30. It's not a whole lot because some of them are doing virtual.
Right. And that's made a big difference with transportation as well.
It has.
But you still have thousands of kids that are riding that bus and they're depending on you every day.
Right.
What message do you want to give to those parents out there, Miss Yvonne, the ones that entrust their kids in your care?
I'm doing my best to get them safely to where they belong and safely home, and I love them. And they're good kids. All of mine are.
What do you want to
good
say to
kids
those
and good parents? I
That's
appreciate everything that they do.
That's always that's important.
Right. The parents are real good, and I appreciate everything they do to help me out.
And I think that if we're teaching respect and honor in our home, that'll transfer to when we are.
It shows with the children. It does.
And I always used to tell my kids, I said, listen, you better act like you got some home training. I would do that all the time. And even in their 20s now, I still have a way as a mother saying, hey, like you say, don't act a fool.
Exactly.
When I'm not around, you remember what you've been taught. And so I think that that's what's happening is you're seeing parents who are doing that more, and that's how it's transferring with the kids.
Exactly. It don't matter how old your kids get; they're going to still be your kids, and you're going to tell them, you better act right.
You're right.
I have some that's in their 30s, so.
So you're a mom.
Oh, I'm a mom of 5.
How old are your kids? What are the ages?
20. And the youngest is 20. He'll be 21 next month, and then I have one that's 27, one that's 30, one that's 33, and one that's 36.
Oh, so you already know.
Oh yes.
Are you a grandmother?
Yes, I have 5 grandchildren.
5 grandkids.
Ages 8 weeks to 11.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Look at that. And so this has been, getting to talk with you, Miss Yvonne, and all the other drivers. We've got one more left. Is just hearing about their families and where they come from so that you can understand them better.
Right.
And really appreciate who you are even the more. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
And thank you for all you have been doing for so many years.
Thank you. I thank you. It's been a pleasure, really.
You're holding up the light, honey, for your family.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Yvonne Lamp. All right, we've got our last bus driver here that we are interviewing, and it is the lovely Miss Elizabeth Cordy.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm great. You look fabulous.
Thank you, so do you.
Thank you so much. This has been a tremendous day, and I'm very humbled to be able to be in the position that I'm in, to be able to chat with these amazing men and women about what they do, why they do what they do. Yes. And it's been pretty special. And so, Miss Elizabeth.
Yes, ma'am.
We want to hear all about you, okay? So tell us a little backstory about you, about your family. You grew up here. How did you transition to what you're doing now?
Well, first of all, I like to say that it's a joy and honor to be here with you this morning. It truly is. And with my family, and we grew up, to tell you the truth, we grew up back in Oriana. But that was still in Lawrence County.
What was this town?
Oriana.
Oriana.
Yes, ma'am. But we have buses go that way now.
I don't even know what that is.
We'll talk about it. And so we grew up there, and so we ended up, and I always had said that when I grew up, I was going to move to Dublin.
The big city of Dublin.
The big city of Dublin, yes, ma'am. And so that is what I done. And so my parents, dad, he passed about 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and mom, she's still living. She's 80 years old.
Oh, look at that.
And I have 9 siblings, and I'm the oldest.
You're the number one.
I'm the number one.
I bet you
yes,
remind them of that every chance you get.
You know what? Actually, they remind me. They let me know. You know, they give me the utmost respect.
Look at that.
They really do. But you know, in order to receive respect, you have to give respect.
You have to give it.
And that I do. I really do.
And you're a mom?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm a mom of 10 children. I have 5 biological children. And, I just love them. I have one son. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a pastor of Buckhead Baptist Church.
Look at that.
Hello, William. And, and we are, and he just, well, they just all, one thing I can say about all of them, they're wonderful.
Wow.
They're wonderful children.
And look at the home training they received. Now, you're a minister as well.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Tell us about ministry.
Oh, ministry is great. My husband also, he's a pastor as well. My husband been married now for, next month will be 26 years.
Nice.
Only 26.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, so my husband and I, we got married and all, and he was, I went to him one day and I told him, I said, honey, I feel like the Lord is leading me to get into the ministry deeper. I always have loved the Lord and telling people about the Lord. And then, you know, with Baptist traditions and everything and all, there isn't too many women that they want into the ministry. You know how that is.
I do.
But that's okay. If you are anointed, that's what we should be seeking, the anointing of God.
Right.
Because once you have that anointing of God to do what God says to do, it does not matter who gonna think they don't want to hear you, sugar.
Right.
Because God gonna bring them on in.
Bring them on in.
Yes, He is. And oh, my bad.
We're about to have a sermon here. So you have been the mouthpiece for the Lord for many years.
Yes, ma'am. I really have.
And you've instilled that within your children.
Oh, yes, Lord. All of them.
And so here it is. You're a minister. You're a mom. You're a grandmother.
Yes, 17.
17
and
grandchildren.
3 great-grands.
And you're a great-grandmother.
Yes, yes.
And you drive a school bus.
Yes, and enjoy it.
Talk to us about how that's been for you and how many years?
I've been driving a school bus now for 25 years.
25 years.
Yes, ma'am, 25 years. And with driving the school bus and all, I started out this year, the Lord had told me I had a job where I was working and I was making $600 a week. And I feel in my heart that the Lord was saying, I need for you to go and drive a school bus so that you could be a blessing to other children and to be able to see other children and just bless them and all.
Right.
I said, Lord, if you say go, I'm going to go.
They gotta go.
It doesn't matter what it pays, I'm going to go. And God knows it wasn't $600 a week. So,
and this was 26 years ago.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so that's what I began doing and all. And I tell you, for me, by teaching my children and loving them and telling them how they need to do stuff now. So when my children get on the bus in the morning time, I always say, good morning. How are you all doing, my beautiful children? They look at me. Oof. I said, thank you, Lord. Thank you. I just thank you for blessing all my children.
Right.
And so I would call my children on the bus, my children. I get home, my children to say, Mama, we are your children. Those are not your children. I said, you all are my children. I love you all because I love my children on the bus just like I do my biological children.
And see, that's where those relationships are.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have been sowing that goodness and kindness, whether it's reciprocated back, they knew that it was coming from a good place with you.
That's right. Because we would start out every year, we would start out on the bus. Okay, God is over this bus. He's in control of this bus. Then it's Miss Elizabeth. You all going to do, I'm going to do what God tell me to do, and you all are going to do what I ask you to do. Then I said, if it come down to telling you, you're going to do what I tell you to do, but don't ever let me have to tell you to do anything.
So you run a tight ship. Or bus.
I do, but it's with love.
Right.
Because let me tell you, I told them children on the bus, let me tell you, we don't have no black nor white on this bus. We only have people that are loved by God. And that's what I did. And you know what touched my heart so one year? One of my boys, he was like, I think he was in the 11th grade and he was on the bus. And someone told him, they called him, they said, oh, you whatever and everything. He said, no, we do not have that on this bus. Ask Miss Elizabeth. We're all loved by God, so don't do that.
And so you have an atmosphere, you've created an atmosphere of love on your bus.
Yes, ma'am, with all of them, with all of my babies.
And so for 26 years. 25 years.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You've been Miss Elizabeth.
Well, it's Miss Elizabeth or either Miss Cordy, but you had to put a handle on it.
A handle on it. There it is.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what ways have you grown as a person, being surrounded by so many kids for so many years and in the position you're in?
It helped to strengthen me more with my children. With the children today, they're so different today than what it was when I first started out.
Right.
But even I'm still learning from them. I learned from my ones starting out to how I could better handle the ones that I have now.
Wow.
And that does just really good. You got to learn as you go through anything you need to learn. I always learn something. If it's the smaller little thing, I'll always be ready to learn.
Willing to learn. And speaking of learning, I saw you the other day doing your CPR training down on the floor.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh.
We got to do what we got to do.
A great grandmother down there on that floor doing compressions. And,
yes, enjoy
And
it.
I was just so impressed by your level of enthusiasm that you had and your energy. You have a high energy.
Thank you. Yes,
and that
ma'am.
just transcends age. Because
Yes.
you are a great grandmother.
Thank you.
And I know you all talked
Yes.
about that before you got down on that floor. You were like, okay.
Yeah, we were talking
Y'all
about
gonna have
it,
to help us
joking and I told her, I said, oh, can we do it on the table? She said, come on, Miss Diva, we got to do it on the floor. I said, do we really have to? But yes, ma'am, do what you got to do.
Because you all are being prepared for real life situations where
Yes,
if there's
ma'am.
an incident on that bus, you're going to be able to take care of that child in the
Yes,
best
ma'am.
possible way until the paramedics come or until that person, yes.
Yes, ma'am, we got to know what it is we need to do.
I love that. And so what messages do you want to give? First, let's start off giving a message to those parents out there who are entrusting you to take care of their children.
I would like to say to the parents, thank you for all these years entrusting your babies with me. And I mean, it has been truly a joy, and I want you to know I appreciate it. And as long as I drive the school bus, one thing you'll know for sure. If they're on 1705, they are loved and they are well taken care of.
Very good. And give that message to those babies, those kids.
And my babies, which you all already know, as they always say, Miss Elizabeth, take care of me. Miss Elizabeth going to continue to take care of you. I'm going to keep you in line, but I'm going to take care of you, and I love you.
All right, and your final message is to Greg Pauldo, the staff of the Transportation Department, and your colleagues, the other bus drivers.
Mr. Pauldo, Mr. Pauldo, I just want you to know I just thank God for you. We couldn't find aid this morning for me. Mr. Pauldo was on the bus. You always there, ready to do whatever it is that you need to do, and I want you to know that I thank God for you. May God's blessings continue to be upon you. And my co-workers, you all know how I feel about y'all. That Miss Carter, I love you all. And I thank God for the way we are able to work together as a team and do what it is that we need to do. And may we continue to do it God's way rather than our way. We thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. You know, this show has been comprised of various bus drivers throughout our Lawrence County School District. Many years of service, so many of them, they've transitioned from other positions. But what remains the same, and I think that's really beautiful, is their love for what they do. Their love for the kids that they have on those buses, their love for their colleagues, and how they work together as a family to do what's best for those kids. And so I myself am so proud, and I feel privileged and honored to have been able to sit with each and every one of them today to let them share a little bit about themselves and to hear their journey coming from them, and it's been pretty magnificent. So on behalf of the Lawrence County School District, we want to tell each and every bus driver out there, every bus monitor, every person that comes in to substitute for those bus drivers, all of those kids, parents, this community, we thank you. We thank you for working together to be on one accord to make sure that our kids and our staff members are safe each and every day. That's all the time we have here on Team Lawrence.